Hey everyone, I'm back again today, and this time I finally made it around 2 o'clock. Anyway, alright, so today I titled this Reading a Nutrition Label, What It All Means. Okay, so today I want to go over kind of how to read a nutrition label, what to look for, the ins and outs basically, okay? But little quick fact before I jumped into all that. Today I kind of listened to a really interesting lecture today on information technology and how it's being delivered, such as like right now how I'm doing a live video cast. You wouldn't have thought of years ago being able to do this from your house, or at least, not in the advent of when cell phones first started being developed. All we were able to do is take pictures and then eventually edit recording, and then now we got all this, so bringing this live to you. And I saw the data behind it today. It was really interesting. But unfortunately, my short-term memory kind of sucks. So, so I remember it was pretty high. I can't tell you exactly what it was, but it's pretty fascinating on how fast all the information technology and stuff is growing in our different areas and stuff. So, just FYI information today. But so I'm gonna get to the meat of the subject today. All right, reading a nutrition label. I'm gonna flip my camera around, kind of show you a nutrition label real quick, and I'm gonna start kind of discussing a little bit about it. Alright, so I have brought out a can, some sweet peas and carrots. Yeah, I had to bring out some vegetables for you. Something simple, something easy, something cheap at the grocery store, so forth. But if you look at the back of there, you see the nutritional, you see the nutritional facts. You see serving size, you see serving per container, amount per serving, total fat, saturated fat, trans fat, cholesterol, sodium. You see all these little different, and even down at the very bottom, you also see ingredients: peas, water, carrots, sugar, salt. And I'll go over kind of what all this means today. And I kind of want to give you an overview about a little bit about the nutritional facts and stuff. I'm going to flip the camera back to me real quick so I can talk to y'all face to face. All right, so, and as I get more into this, I want to go, I'll actually flip the camera back and you'll be able to see the nutrition label as I start describing stuff. Okay, so I wanted to kind of bring this to you next week, or maybe even sooner than that. I'm thinking about actually doing a new little nutritional seminar lecture via Facebook Live here for you. So whoever wants to tune in and Zoom and listen in to what I have to say about nutrition and stuff, and maybe it might be beneficial, maybe not. It probably will be, though. Most of the time, most of what I'll be lecturing, though, will be kind of more common sense, more stuff that you should know, you should have access to, and you should have some sort of knowledge in. I think that would help you be able to better operate nutritionally. Now, I will say once again, I'm no dietitian. So a lot of the information I'm pulling from are stuff I've learned and stuff that's already been created and evaluated by dietitians and doctors and physicians and stuff like that. So that's where I'm going to pull a lot of my information from, okay? All right, so let's kick this thing off. Let's talk about serving size. Flip my camera back around for you. Bam. Okay, serving size. Bam. You see serving per container is about 3.5. It's really not telling me what, I imagine about 3.5 scoops or so forth, or the serving size about 1/2 cup, so about 3.5, 1/2 cups, okay, 3.5 cups, so forth. Anyway, you see that it shows you that your serving size. Now, in the whole container, there's about three 1/2 cups servings in this one can, okay? So when we go down, if we look down about calories, that's by the serving size, okay? So if I take 1/2 cup of this, that's going to be about 60 calories, okay? Contained in those 60 calories are the amount of total fat, cholesterol, sodium, carbohydrates, and protein, and then your micro minerals down at the bottom, which are vitamin A, calcium, C, and iron in here, okay? So let's get a little deeper in this. All right, so if we took 1/2 cup and we had our 60 calories, now this 60 calories, all this nutrition down here, if you look down at the very bottom down here, you see daily values are based on a 2,000 calorie diet. All right, that may not be your diet. That is sure not my diet. I typically if I was to estimate how many calories I take in per se, it's probably be around probably 25, maybe in all my low times, I've probably taken about 1,800. So I vary a lot, probably. And I haven't done it in a while, so I haven't seen what my actual values are in a long time. But if y'all ever want to take a little log and kind of jot down what you're doing, or you can use MyFitnessPal is another great app. That way you can actually track how many calories you're taking in, and you can see kind of the idea of what it is. But I'll save that lecture for another day. Anyway, so let's move on down. So we see 60 calories that are in 1/2 cup. Okay. Then we'll move on down to total fat. Okay. So total fat would be it'll be a breakdown of the saturated fat or the trans fat. Now the saturated fat is total fat in your food. It's basically the same fat that you would get that raises your blood cholesterol and your risk of heart disease. Okay, so this is something, if you're eating a lot of saturated fat in your food, you want to reduce. Okay, and then down to trans fat, which you can tell, of course, these are vegetables. These aren't going to have a lot of saturated fat or trans fat in them. Okay, the biggest thing that's going to be in here is going to be sodium, and I'll get onto that in a minute. But anyway, so your saturated fat you want to eat less of. Okay, and then you got your trans fat, which basically is how should I describe this? Basically, it increases shelf life of this of the product. So if they had a lot of trans fat in here, it'll increase the shelf life. But it also can be bad as well because it contributes to increased blood cholesterol and the risk of heart disease in it as well. Okay, so trans fat is another thing you want to try to keep fairly low as well, if all possible. But like I said, they'll put a lot of in it. A lot of times, if it has a lot of fat in it, it's probably because it's trying to maintain shelf life on it, especially if it's trans fat. So basically, at total fat, which isn't all bad, but it can be depending on if you're getting most of the fat from the saturated or trans fat. Okay, and then we get on down to cholesterol, which you want to aim to eat less than 300 milligrams of each day. Okay, that should be your goal, because too much cholesterol can also, especially if you've heard of your HDLs or LDLs, your high density lipoproteins or your good proteins, your HDLs. But your LDLs, your low density lipoproteins, are what you want to lower. Okay, so if you get your total cholesterol and you see that breakdown and your HDLs are fairly high, that's good. That's good, because that can be moved through your bloodstream, but your low density lipoproteins can get lodged in between your blood vessels, and they can start the clotting process and blocking arteries and so forth. Okay, so those are the ones you want to try to reduce down. But you want to try to eat less than 300 milligrams of cholesterol a day if possible. Eggs contain a lot of cholesterol, so eating a ton of eggs probably wouldn't be the best thing for somebody that has high cholesterol. Moving on down, sodium. This one has 300 milligrams of it. All right, that's not bad. That's not bad. It's the amount of total sodium you take in. And that's easy to accumulate. A lot of things, especially in canned food, because that's another thing. In this one, as you can tell, there's no trans fat. So the way they make this last longer is they put a lot of sodium in it. Okay, it helps preserve. It's a preservative. It helps preserve the food that's inside of it, inside the can. Of course, you want to try to get, the American Heart Association recommends no more than 300 milligrams of, or excuse me, not 300, let me backtrack, 3,000 milligrams of sodium per day for healthy adults. Now, if you've got high blood pressure, too much sodium is a bad thing. That increase the amount of pressure that's put on that heart, because that increases the amount of water that's in your blood vessels. Okay, because sodium is a water retention substance. So just be a little careful of that, especially if you're on blood pressure medications and stuff like that. And you could talk more to your doctor about sodium and the effects of it on your body as well. Let's get on down. Okay, then we'll move down to total carbohydrates. Now, this is a vegetable, so you see the total carbohydrates is higher. Okay, now with this can, what's kind of funny is you see total carbohydrates is 10 grams. Okay, you see that you might be asking yourself, well, why is it 4 grams of dietary fiber and 4 grams of sugar? That makes 8 grams, right? Well, yes and no. Let's look at this. The actual there's actually a little bit of fiber in this that's insoluble. Okay, that they're actually adding into this. So they're not reporting it on here, but that's actually 6 grams of dietary fiber if you were to break it down. So it'll be a little higher in it. And then you got 4 grams of sugar as well, which that's your simple sugar. That's what you want to keep low. Okay, your dietary fibers, what helps bulk up your helps keep your intestines healthy, but also helps remove a little bit of sugar from your system as well through the bulking process. So dietary fiber is what we want to try to increase, whereas the sugars and stuff we want to try to decrease as much as possible. But once again, they probably put the sugar in here for taste. And I guess this would be a good time to tell you, if you look right here, see where sugar is? You see peas, water, carrots, sugar, salt. All right, I'll go ahead and tell you now the ingredients. If you look at the ingredients, the first one that's listed is always going to be the most, what's going to contain the most in whatever you're eating. Okay, so if you see peas in here, peas are going to be what's mostly in this thing. Okay, it's going to be the highest content. Then the next is going to be water, then carrots, and finally sugar, and then salt. So there's more sugar in this than there is salt. Okay? All right? So I hope that kind of makes a little more sense. So if you're reading the ingredients on it, the first one listed is going to be the higher ingredient. Okay? So I hope that kind of helps y'all out a little bit. All right? Let's see what else we move on. Okay, so moving down from sugars down to protein. It says it's got 3 grams of protein. You didn't believe that? Can you believe you get proteins from peas, sweet peas, and carrots? Well, you do, okay? Because peas is a part of a legume, so you get a little bit of protein from that. Not a lot, but you do get a little protein from it. All right. You also get protein from lean meat, fish, poultry. You can get from beans, grains, and cereals as well. Is another place you can get protein from. So you can a vegetarian or a vegan or people that eat a lot of vegetables can get their daily amount of protein. It's just a little harder. Okay. Myself, I'll eat vegan food and I'll eat a lot of vegetables, but I still like my meats for getting my actual protein from. But of course, I told you my goal is to lose weight. So eating higher amount of my protein in vegetables make it a little easier for me to lose a little more weight, because vegetables tend to be higher in fiber, and they're easily more processed through your system while also giving your amount of vitamins and your macronutrients, which are macronutrients are your larger nutrients, which would be your fat, carbs, and protein. That would be your macro. Your micro, we're moving on down to now, is your vitamins, your minerals, so forth. And you'll see, you want to aim to get these, like you see vitamin A there is 80%. You want to try to make that 100%. Each one of these should be about 100% of your daily value. Now, like I said, I will go back down to this 2,000 calorie diet. This whole label is based upon 2,000 calorie diet. So if I go up to, let's go back to carbohydrate, 10 grams, 3%. That's based upon the 2,000 calorie diet. If it was a different person, for example, if it was if the amount of calories, I'll tell you what, let's go with the calories. If the amount of calories was on a different, let's say 2,500 calorie diet, it would be a slightly less percentage, you see? So you want to keep that in mind. So if you talk to a nutritionist or a dietitian and they say, okay, I need you to be on a 2,500 calorie diet, then you need to look at your label and see exactly if you're eating what your percentage should be or would be at 2,500 versus 2,000. Okay, so that's a little bit of on. I think that's all that's on to the actual nutritional label. So if you look at all that, just kind of highlight. It's good to kind of look at the labels a lot of times and see. One thing I always do with my wife, if we're looking into something new we're eating, because typically once you buy something, you know exactly what you're already buying, and you're actually looking at it a little bit more. But I always go to the first thing I look at is ingredients first. I want to see what is the highest value in what I'm about to eat. Okay, what is going to be the highest content? So if that says sugar as my first ingredient, then I probably want to probably put that back and go, okay, hold on, let me find something a little bit that has a little bit more nutritional value in it. Of course, you can also look at your like breads and different things like that. If it says, I'm trying to remember right back in my head. Let's see. I'm thinking, okay, I found something in my book. I'll go ahead and read this. I'm kind of using this as like a guide on stuff I want to talk about. I'm going to flip the camera back around. Okay, so I found something in my book that as I'm trying to use as a little kind of a guide to kind of help y'all understand. That keeps me on track a little bit, otherwise I'll be all over the place. So like whole grains, to be considered 100% whole grain, the product must be contained all essential parts of the original kernel, the bran, the germ, the endosperm. When choosing products, the whole grain should be the first or second ingredient. So if you see whole grain as on part of your on the ingredients list, then it should be the first or second in it to be considered whole grain. Okay, so examples of whole grain would include brown rice, buckwheat, bulgur, and I can't exactly tell you what that is. Like I said, I'm not a dietitian. I didn't study this for life, so I'll let you know if I really don't know what something is. And then, of course, one of my favorite foods is popcorn. It's another whole grain. If you do like popcorn like me, try to reduce the amount of salt and butter that's in it, because you get a lot of fat from the butter and a lot of the salt. So if you can find the ones that are unflavored, which for some reason I haven't been able to find recently at some of the grocery stores. I've been looking, but I haven't found it yet. So maybe if y'all find it, reach out and let me know where it's at. I've been looking for it, because I love my popcorn as a snack, but unfortunately I'm only able to find the ones with butter on it, and so I just kind of bite the bullet and eat a little less sometimes. I love popcorn, so that's one of my weaknesses. I will admit my weaknesses. But yeah, so that's a little bit about your actual breads and stuff. And of course, what else do I want to talk about? One last little final thing I think would be kind of a little interesting, I don't think a lot of people know, is about the added sugars. Ingredients signifying added sugars include anhydrous dextrose, brown sugar, corn syrup solids, dextrin, fructose, high fructose corn syrup, honey, invert sugar, lactose, malt, syrup, maltose, and I could continue to leave this whole list off. There's a whole bunch, but the biggest thing is it's added sugars or sugars that are either preservatives or add to increase the amount of preservatives that keep the product lasting longer on the shelves. So anyway, that's a little bit about reading a nutrition label today, and I hope that was kind of informative today. And I'm gonna post this on YouTube later on tonight. I've been basically downloading these off Facebook Live and uploading them to YouTube, so I have them all listed. So if y'all want to, y'all can find me on YouTube, and if y'all find something y'all heard about and y'all want to hear what I said again, or you can just message me and I'll find it for you. But either way, you can follow me on YouTube as well. I'm posting a lot of my video blogs such as this on YouTube. So I'm kind of hoping this kind of helped y'all out, and I hope it gave y'all a better idea about reading a nutrition label. If you have any questions whatsoever, reach out to me, ask me. I am your resource, okay? I am your resource to find valid, reliable information, and that's what I'm trying to do with these video blogs. Is I'm trying to act as a resource for you and let you know what I have access to and what I can find, and what knowledge I actually still have in my head that will help you better your life. Okay, so don't go spend hours researching on the internet and find something on Joe Blow's website saying, "Oh yeah, you should eat more protein. It'll help you lose a lot of weight." Maybe, maybe not. It's got to be dependent if it's right for you. Let me find you the research. Let me find you the information. Okay, and because that's what I was trained to do in college. That's what I was trained to do as an undergraduate in community health, is finding you reliable information. I am your resource. Use me. Reach me out, okay? All right. With that being said, take care, y'all, and have a wonderful day.